Council President, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for October 20th, 2016 at 8 p.m. On roll call, Council members Coletti.
Here.
Churdo.
Here.
Dombrowski.
Here.
Giandomenico.
Here.
Caramagna.
Here.
Bonsino.
Here.
Mayor Mola is absent due to illness.
Good evening. I just have a brief comment. As Council President, I'm acting for Mayor Mola in his absence as he deals with a health issue. I'm not going to go, or we're not going to go any further than that in respect of the Mola family privacy. I would ask all our residents to keep the Mola family in their thoughts and pray for his quick, full, and speedy recovery of Mayor Mola. Thank you. Let's rise for our prayer and flag salute. O God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting, which we entrust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so that our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised that the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing an annual meeting notice in the Record of Hackensack and Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice has been posted on January 1st, 2015.
Council President, this evening, under the approval of minutes, we have the September 22nd, 2016 work session, the October 6th, 2016 regular meeting, and the October 13th, 2016 executive session.
Motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Councilman Dombrowski.
Second.
Councilman Churdo. All in favor, or are you going to take a poll?
We'll take a roll call in case there's any abstentions. Council members Coletti.
Yes.
Churdo.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Giandomenico.
Yes.
Caramagna.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Motion carried. Council President, this evening we have a historical presentation from our county clerk here in Bergen County, Mr. John Hogan.
Thank you. And thank you, members of the governing body, for giving me the opportunity to come out tonight. Let me just pull this back a little so I can sit in the audience. Give the opportunity to come out tonight just to speak for a short period of time about my office's Around the County initiative. As you can see, if you can see, we started this about 2 years ago. And what it is we set up temporary satellite offices within communities, and we're going to ask that you take us up on this. We haven't been here yet, right? We set up a temporary satellite office in each community in which we offer passports. We can process business trade names, notary publics, photo cards for seniors, exempt firefighters, and veterans. And then we have voter registration forms, vote by mail applications, and we can speak to people about some things that we can't do off-site, such as registration of deeds and mortgages. But at some point, take us up on it. We set up for 3 days within your community. It's a real pain in the neck nowadays to drive to Hackensack with all the construction that's been going on for the past year. So we can come here instead of having your residents come to Hackensack to process their passports and other things. Just a public service announcement. Those passports that were issued 10 years ago for people who were traveling to Canada when the new requirements came about, those are now all coming up for renewal. This is a good time, if yours is coming up within the next couple of months, to get in and get the passport done, because there's going to be a backlog by the federal government. So we've been telling everyone that, and they've been getting it in. That's one thing that we do. The other thing that we do is we come out and we do presentations. Nobody knows what the county clerk does. for all the services that are offered. And we'll come out to your senior centers, civic groups, any organization in your town, and speak about our office, because few people know that from the functions of my office, we generate $17 million a year for the county of Bergen, and another $71 million a year for the state of New Jersey. So we're a real cash cow in the county, which helps us all by not hitting our pocketbooks for taxes to run the county government. Just so you know, when I got there 5 years ago, I rolled back the cost to run my office to what it was 15 years ago. It cost us $4.7 million. Rolled back the amount of employees. We have 55 employees, and we've kept it that way for the past 5 years. So we're really making money for the county. Part of what we do is we speak in schools, too. And we speak about everything, including elections. There's a video about 2 summers ago. We took all our summer interns. They were bored with scanning things and sealing envelopes and running here and there, and we locked them in a room. And we said to them, you need to come up with a way to encourage young people to vote. If you go on our website, you'll see there's a really good, about 3-minute video that tells how one vote makes a difference and different historical references. Take us up on that too. Finally, what we're really here for tonight is our historical presentation. The county clerk's office has been around for a real long time, before George Washington. And, you know, the sheriff and I are really good friends. He's another constitutional officer. Sheriff Sordino says that he's been around longer, his office, than my office. He's the guy with the gun. So I only talk about it when he's not here. All right? But he's got a paper that says sheriff. And he thinks that because he's got this sheriff paper, that the sheriff's position existed for a real long time. I can tell you that someone had to keep track of all the land records in our county. Someone had to keep track of the minutes of whoever was governing our county during the time that a king oversaw all of this, and it was the county clerk. I have a map in my office that's stored away and protected. It's made on animal skin. It's of the far northern part of the county of Mahwah. It has teepees hand-drawn on it, and it has trees hand-drawn. There's nothing else there at that time. So the county clerk's been around a real long time. Because of that, the county clerk has some real old records, historical records, that date back before the Vietnam War, before the Korean War, before World War II and I, before the Spanish-American War, and some before the Civil War. Most of those documents have not been seen since the time they were filed in the county clerk's office. We uncovered all of those documents, and they were preserved pretty well for the last century. But we're well into this century now. So we decided 2 years ago to have all those documents scanned, so that hopefully they'll be preserved forever. And then we place them in sleeves that are acid-free type containers, sleeves, and we restore them so that hopefully they'll be preserved forever. So part of my job is to preserve historical documents and all documents. But another part of my job is to share those documents. These have been sitting on the shelf forever. So we tossed it around. None of us are historians on my staff. And we go, how can we present this to the towns? Because each town has its own unique character, its own unique identity, its own special pride. So we found the most interesting forms from each town, the most interesting historical documents, and we reproduced them, which we're going to present to you in a second. Some of these are original maps of the town, the original vote for the town to incorporate. We have something, I'm looking up there, it kind of reminded me. We have something from one town that said, please post the election, and we are posting the election with this poster in front of Elmer's Farm at the corner of Main and Maple, and some really stuff that goes back quite a ways. We have original maps, as I said, the first exempt firefighter certificates. If anyone's a firefighter, you know what an exempt firefighter is. If you served 7 years or more. We have the first exempt firefighter certificates. So I'd just like to take a moment and tell you what's included in here. We're not interpreting it, we're presenting it to you for display. We have the originals in our office, and we think it adds to the pride of the community. Okay? We know that, and I did a little research today, so I'm really not that smart. Prior to 1916, this area was known as Dundee Lake. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, because I got historians yelling at me these meetings and stuff, correcting me. It was a section of Saddle River Township. The residents of Dundee Lake area, they voted on April 18, 1916, to break away and to form the borough of East Patterson, which you then changed in January 1st, 1973 to Elmwood Park. So everything we're referring to tonight is going to be East Patterson, because those are the older historical documents we have. What I do have is the results of that election, when you decided to break away and form. The number of names on the register list was 293, that's voters. For the proposition to become East Patterson, 130 voted for, and 96 voted against. And that's how you came to be. I also have election results from November 7th, which is on here, 1916. For mayor, there were 2 people running. It looks like 2 people. Hugo H. Spidell, I believe his name is. He was elected with 173 votes, 6 council members. I'm just going to run through the names quick, because every now and then when I mention names, somebody will say that was my great-grandfather or my uncle or something. Henry Bauman Jr. got 125 votes. Van Riper is the last name. Celsius is the first name, 134 votes. James H. Weissman got 142 votes. These are the top 6. David F. Gall got 149 votes. Charles Hillman, 119. And Michael Riley, I had an Irishman elected down here, huh? 136 votes. The assessor was George Gunderman with 129 votes. And for collector, you had another Irishman, Albert Higgins Sr., he got 185 votes. We have the election results from the next year of November 5th. It looks like the mayor was up again, and Hugo won again. A couple of council members were up, and collector, etc. We also have some original maps, and I'm just going to read off some of the streets to see if those streets still, I'm sure they still exist. This map was filed in the Bergen County Clerk's office on April 9th, 1941. The clerk then was James W. Mercer, the county clerk. And this is an amended map number 2 of Birchwood in East Patterson. I see Hillman Drive, that was the name I just mentioned. Birchwood Drive, Halsa Avenue, Rudolph Avenue is another area, which is still here, I believe. Right?
It is.
I'm from Northville, so this is like a big journey for me, all right? We have another map from October 1st, 1947 of Elmwood Gardens and Elmwood Knolls. I see Elmwood Terrace, Glenwood Avenue, Elmwood Country Club Boulevard. And then there's one final map. The mayor at the time, it says on the map, is George English. Does that ring a bell? It's a street and utility dedication map for Cherry Hill Gardens, East Patterson, April 8th, 1948. We see Fournier Crescent,
Yep.
Roth Street, Midland Avenue, a couple other streets. And then finally, we have 2 exempt firefighter certificates. The older one is for William Geisler from Defender Company number 1. It was filed in the county clerk's office November 14, 1950. 1950. And either the chief or mayor at the time was William Geisler. So So it was either the chief or the mayor, and Joseph Heel was the clerk or the secretary. And the other exempt firefighter certificate I have is for Joseph Heel, H-E-I-L. He was from the East Patterson Volunteer Fire Department. The chief at the time was Louis Fomier, and the mayor was Peter Halstead, and the secretary was Raymond Reel. Another thing that I found, I'd like to do a little historical research besides what I have. I found you had some really interesting citizens, which you probably know already, but I thought was kind of cool to throw in. Dick Vitale, basketball coach and broadcaster, and Carahan Mahalik, who I've seen on the news many, many years, and John McGrath. And I happened to be reading, finally, the Band of Brothers book. And when I saw this, I almost dropped everything, because I never read that book, to tell you the truth, and I'm in it now. So thank you all, and in the absence of the mayor, who we all pray for and keep in our thoughts, I've known him for a long time. If the council wants to come up, or the council president, I would like to come for the presentation. And you can display this wherever you want. Okay? Oh, and the other thing is, we have duplicates of this for all the deeds and mortgages kept on file. This is the Land Records Management Division. There's going to be one of these for all 70 towns on display. Okay? And here you go. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And
Mr. Hogan, I want to thank you for the presentation and the historical overview. Certainly timely with our 100-year anniversary that we're celebrating this year in town. And I won't call myself a student of history, but I know I've always told my kids to always look back at history and kind of gain a perspective of where we came from so it could shape their future, what's possible in their future, and the potential they could achieve in their future. So seeing artifacts like this give you that kind of perspective. And then just from your opening comments, I think there probably might be an opportunity to leverage some of the services here locally. There's always a need to educate folks on how to get registered to vote, how to get a passport. I know in work, we have to get a passport quickly, typically to travel overseas, and that's a lot of grief. And then the most important thing, hopefully our school leverages its services and maybe educates our young people, especially this year's presidential election. There's a lot to discern in deciding who our next president's going to be, and it would be great that our young people start looking at that critically as they're about to enter adult life. So we heard a lot tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you very much, John. Council President, this evening under ordinances on first reading, we have Resolution 364-16, introduce ordinance 16-21 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Code of the Borough of Melville Park entitled Administration be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, November 3rd, 2016, at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter, as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be, and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper. A notice of introduction and final hearing is required by law.
A motion?
So moved.
Second. Councilman Coletti and Councilman Dombrowski.
Council President, through you, before we take a roll call, should the correct date for a second hearing reflect November 3rd or November 10th? We'll have to advertise that accordingly.
November 10th, I think we agreed we're going to make a modification.
Okay, so as long as Councilman Coletti and Councilman Dombrowski agree to move the resolution with the amendment that the second reading of this ordinance will be heard on Thursday, November 10th, 2016, then we can move forward with the
So
roll call.
moved. Discussion.
Discussion. Right.
If I may, Council President? This ordinance will replace the current LoSAP program. The council and the fire department spent many hours on the subject. The council didn't pander in the decision and agreed to an 18-month trial basis. The objective was to entice enrollment and attendance to the fire calls and drills. Other towns have implemented the stipend and have had some success with it. So let's wait and see and hope it does work out for us. Council President?
Yes, anybody else?
Yes, sir. Council President, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, recently, this week, you saw on social media that Elmwood Park painted the blue line for our police department. And today, I noticed that a few of us councilmen were called out about what are we going to do for the fire department and our ambulance corps. And I just want to say this, is that, you know, the reasoning behind the blue line, as everybody has seen in the newspapers and on the TV news about, you know, how hard it is, and, you know, police officers are sitting in their cars, people coming up and taking shots at them. The blue line started as not to segregate, but to unify and everybody respect what the police stand for. And I think what we have done as a council, not only this year when the fire chief came to us with a suggestion, and we all listened and worked closely together to help achieve what the chief was looking to do, and that's what this reading of this, the first reading of this ordinance is about. We did the same thing for the ambulance corps a few years ago when the chief of the ambulance corps came to us and said, listen, we're having difficulties getting members to answer calls or getting our membership up. I want everybody to understand that this council, regardless of whether it is a red line, green line, white line, blue line, we do support our emergency services. And I just wanted to put that out there because I saw it on social media today, and I wanted to make sure that the people realize that we are supporting our fire department. We do support our ambulance corps as well as our police department. So I just wanted to say that.
Any other comments on the ordinance? Councilman?
I'm not going to reiterate what my two colleagues have said, but as you guys know, Chief Pressler approached us a couple months ago that he's having difficulties getting membership up and call to response issue, and he was mentioning how younger volunteers no longer want to do the LoSAP program. They want to see the money up front quicker than to do something that's a deferred retirement. So we discussed it in length. He presented different options to us, and as Bob has mentioned, we're going to try it out for an 18-month period just to see if we could reach the end goal of having increased membership, and if not, then we will reevaluate it at that point and decide what to do forward. But like Joe has stated, or Councilman Dombrowski, we are all appreciative of all of our first responders. They take time away from their families. They help all of our residents, and for that we are all thankful.
Thank you. Anybody on this side? Good. I'll just, I don't want to duplicate previous comments. Again, the intent here is to increase participation by our fire department members. The fire department came with us with a plan. We're going to look at it over this 18-month period. They put together a set of metrics that we could use to try and assess the impact of this stipend program. But I guess what I wanted to just add is for the residents of Elmwood Park, if there are folks out there who think they may want to volunteer, this is an admirable way of giving your time and talents back to our community. So while we're doing this program, if you've been on the fence, give the fire department a call. You know, they could use a hand. Okay, call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Churdo?
As an active fireman, I recuse.
Abstain. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Giandomenico?
Yes.
Caravagna?
Yes.
Monsino?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council President, this evening under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 365-16, payment of bills, Resolution 366-16, payment of escrow, Resolution 367-16, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 368-16, authorized to release road opening performance bonds, Resolution 369-16, authorized engineer estimate number 3 to PA Construction, Resolution 370-16, authorized engineer estimate number 1, Capola Services, Inc., Resolution 371-16, redeem third-party tax lien, 206 Elmwood Drive. Resolution 372-16, authorize refunds in the Recreation Department. Resolution 373-16, appoint independent counsel in the Police Department. Resolution 374-16, a resolution to petition the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to install anti-suicide fencing along walkways along the George Washington Bridge. Resolution 375-16, authorized resolution for the submission of a grant application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the 2016 round of funding for the Transportation Alternatives Program. Resolution 376-16, redeem third-party tax lien at 71 Elmwood Drive. Resolution 377-16, person-to-person liquor license transfer for license number 0211-33-037-006. And Resolution 378-16, resolution to authorize this consent agenda.
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilman John Domenico.
Second.
Councilman Chardo, second.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti,
Yes.
Churdo,
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
And Domenico.
Yes.
Catamania.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Council President, under departmental reports, we have the Building Department report for September, Police Department for September, Municipal Court report for September, Recreation Department report for September, Building Department Property Maintenance Violations report for August and September.
Motion to accept the reports.
So moved.
Councilman Dombrowski, second.
Second.
Councilman Caramagna, all in favor?
Aye.
And finally, we have two applications for raffle licenses. One is for Bergen County Technical High School bingo application, and the second is also for Bergen County Technical High School for a raffle application.
Need a motion? Keith, we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion to accept the application.
So moved.
Councilman John Domenico, second. Councilman Coletti, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Council President, that concludes my portion of the agenda.
Okay, council reports. Guess we'll start with Councilman Caramagna.
Country start with me. Okay, thank you.
You want me to start on the other side?
That's right.
Okay.
Get it over with. So my frog come out and stuff. Anyhow, good evening to everyone. Last time I reported to you the homeowner meetings, and John Hogan came to make a presentation to the homeowner. This is when I said these meetings that we will have at the homeowner will be educational. A lot of things people don't know, and finally we learn something. In the near future, we are getting more. Now, this next meeting will be October 26th. It's candidates night, and I ask everyone in town, please come to the senior center, and all the candidates should be there. At least to get to know them, ask them questions, and make sure you elect me to the Board of Education.
What day is that, Frank?
The 26th of October.
Is this for the Board of Education or for council?
No, this will be council
all
and
candidates.
Board of Education,
And the date?
everybody.
And the date?
The date is October 26th. It's a Wednesday night, and at 7 o'clock. We will give you coffee and donuts, maybe some cookies left over from last week. No, everything will be fresh. So please come. I urge everybody to come and let's get the homeowner going. Really, homeowner is a place where people should know where the money goes dispersed, like tax money. What we do with the tax money. Some people under the impression that mayor or council takes all the money. You raise my tax, you make a lot of money, yes. Plus they call us names. That's not the case.
Councilman, where was the location again of the meeting?
Location, senior center will be
the senior center,
recreation. Talk about the recreation part of the building. The parking lot, I saw today, the parking lot is a disaster. It's really bad. And the other side, the large parking lot, it's okay, but this side is terrible. A lot of holes, and it's very dangerous because people go to the center mainly are people my age, and you never know, may trip on and get hurt, and so please let us do something about this, okay? Let's bring it up next time. Let's see if you have some money to invest on this. I guess I have nothing else, but just everyone may know, if you read the paper, Charles Canariato's mom passed away, right? So I think the viewing is tomorrow night from 4 to 9, and I will be in Saddlebrook. So, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Jordan?
Thank you. First, thank you to John Hogan. Like Lou said, with the 100th anniversary, it was very nice to get a little historical lesson. Grass pickup will no longer be will be suspended for the season. If you do have any grass that needs to be taken care of, you can bring it down to Slater Drive Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's at the far end of Slater Drive where the DPW is located. And on Saturday, 8:30 to 12, weather permitted. So that means with grass ending, leaves are beginning. Don't forget no branches, sticks, or corn stalks in the street because it clogs the machine. Please don't pile the leaves less than 10 feet from the storm drains, and also do not stack your leaves out 24 or more than 24 hours before pickup. And for those that know, if you're in Section 1, again, you can check the Waste Watchers book, but Section 1 is Monday, Section 2 is Tuesday, Section 3 is Wednesday, and Section 4 is Thursday. Next, I would like to thank, along with everybody that contributed to painting the blue line, as well as Scott Cars for helping to facilitate the actual painting. Number 4. I had a great night last night. I went to the Elm Park Hall of Fame dinner. It was a great night. There was a lot of people there. It was you could feel the camaraderie of the fellow sports players and alumni in the room. It really made you feel proud. It was a proud moment to be a part of Elmwood Park. We inducted, usually there's more than one inductee, usually there's about 4 or 5, but last night they picked the top of the list, which was Jared Forestieri. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. They also highlighted the top 10 moments, as it was the 25th anniversary for the Hall of Fame, and it was great to see Jack Cleveland. He was there. He's 94 years old, and he was the voice of the Crusaders for 42 years. One last thing, hate to end on a negative note, but we had a concerned resident that really wants to stress that if you're out and about town with your dog, please make sure that you pick up after your dog. It's really important and helps facilitate a clean town, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Galetti?
Yes, I'd like to echo the words of Councilman Cherto on the exhibition here by John Hogan. I had thought it was going to be very boring, but history is never boring, and it's enjoyable. And some nice facts I didn't know about Elmwood Park. Also, I agree with Councilman Caramagna in reference to the parking lot on the left-hand side. It is in need of repair. And Keith, can we put that on the list, possibly for the council to consider for next year?
Yes.
I attended a JIF meeting. They moved the location from Lodi to Woodbridge. Woodridge would be too far to go. And facility is about the same, but the parking situation's probably not no better than Lodi. But in any case, the good news is, and I keep reiterating about the surplus that they maintain. We're in the process of looking at next year's budget, and this year we've maintained that $8 million cushion, if you will. And the importance of that is that they're running this big operation. They got all these accounts for catastrophic events, etc. And in the meantime, they're still maintaining an $8 million surplus. Once they exceed that surplus, then it returns back to the town in the form of a dividend. But I'm stressing the point that when you have an organization that maintains that balance for so many years in a row, it tells me one thing, that it's being run properly, and kudos goes out to the administrators. Next Monday night will be my rec meeting. I missed the last one they had, so I'll have some information for you on that. The fire department, the topic for this evening is the stipend. And one last item, I don't know if you folks are aware of it, but we are close to a drought. And I think the importance of that is we're going into a winter, if we don't get the normal snow, we're going to be in a lot of trouble come the spring. So I watered my lawn for the last time this morning, and I will be considering drought conditions. And I think it's something you're going to hear, reporters here. Is there anything on that that's coming out? You haven't heard anything yet. But there are people, there are restrictions in North Jersey, by the way. That's it, Council
Thank
President.
you. Councilwoman John Domenico?
On October 18th, I attended the Board of Ed meeting, and the superintendent, Mr. Greco, did a presentation on the 2015 to 2016 park test. And it was informative for everybody to see. I mean, it showed the ranking of our schools compared to the statewide ranking, as well as the comparison to where they ranked last year. They've only taken the test twice so far, so they're doing that as a comparison. But he did mention, Mr. Greco, that on November 17th at 7 p.m., he will be holding the session for the parents. So if you're a parent of a student who has taken them or will be taking them, I would encourage you to either attend that or reach out to the principal of that building and have the park test explained to yourself, just in case you're not knowledgeable enough about it, which a lot of people aren't, since it's something new that's been instituted. He did put the presentation online under the parents' resources. You can look for the park presentation, as well as other links that link you to state websites that are informative. The next Board of Ed meeting would be November 22nd. And also our library will be holding a Halloween Mad Science Lab that would take place at 6 p.m. on October 25th, and a Halloween family story time where they encourage the kids to come dressed up on October 26th, Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Councilman Umbrella.
Thank you very much. I would also like to thank John Hogan for taking the time out today to come down and talk to the Elmwood Park residents, whether it be on camera or the ones that are here today. And during his presentation, I actually turned to Councilwoman Jen Domenico and I said that it's kind of sad that Jerry Mola is not here today, because she does take pride in being somewhat of a historian of Elmwood Park, and she has really, during the centennial meetings, tried to pick it up and give the people of Elmwood Park a little bit of history. And tonight, that presentation was very special. And again, I said to Councilwoman that it's kind of sad that Jerry's not here, and I know she would have very much appreciated that. On the Board of Health issue, on November 2nd, we will have at 5 p.m. Down at Firehouse Company number 4, they will be holding their second rabies clinic. Free rabies shots will be given to cats and dogs that are licensed, and I stress licensed. If your dog is not or cat licensed, it will not get a rabies shot. They will not be issuing licenses at the facility, so you have to have your license prior to. That will start at 5 p.m. and it will go to 7 p.m. And again, it's at company number 4. It will be indoors, so it's not a weather permitted. It's going to be indoors, so you'll be, hopefully there's, the weather will be cooperative. It won't be too cold or whatnot. Chamber of Commerce will be holding their bus trip to Sands Casino on October 30th. If you haven't been on one, it's a hoot, guys. It's a great time. There's about 10 seats left. October 30th, bus trip to Sands Casino. The cost is $40 per person. You'll get $20 back in player cash, as well as a $5 food voucher. The bus will leave outside of 199 Market Street, which is Waureka Catering. If anybody would like to get a reservation, they could call 201-794-0966. And I also wanted to mention that I did attend the Hall of Fame dinner yesterday, and I'm very, very proud of Jared Forsteria. It's one of the young men that I actually got a chance to help coach and find out what kind of a player he actually was. And great young man, great family, and I congratulate Jared. Progress.
Thank you.
No report this evening, thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of comments. With Halloween approaching, our ambulance corps is having their haunted house on October 31st from 7 to 9 p.m. The night before, on October 30th, they're going to have a variant for young children, because it's a little toned down, not as scary. I think you'll see me there on the 30th. Well, we talked about the blue line this evening. Our blue line's outside in front of the municipal building. I know at the last public meeting, I talked about it briefly. Probably I don't understand all the aspects of social media and how things kind of propagate across social media. Personally, and I think it was discussed tonight, we show support for our professionals and our organizations in different ways. I don't know that just painting a blue stripe down the road does that, but to the extent that our public passes by it and recognizes the importance of our police department, then it's a real good thing to do. And what I really hope is that our support for our police department really stems from your interactions with our police officers. We have a great professional force. They're focused on community policing, and your support will really be borne out by how you interact with them and how you support them face-to-face every day. And then just one final comment. I just wanted to make a note that in the mayor's absence, the borough is still open for business. We have a full complement of the governing body here. Keith Kasmark's office is open, and I told Mrs. Burke in the mayor's office to not hesitate if there are any issues that come to the mayor's office to contact me at work. My phone number is published in the Waste Watchers. If any residents have any concerns that they typically would have wanted to express to the mayor, don't hesitate to contact us down here at the municipal building. With that, I am done, and I guess we can open it up to the public.
So moved.
Motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Councilman Dombrowski? Councilman Chernow? I don't have a script here, so I'm kind of winging it.
You're doing great.
Yeah,
You're doing great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to be heard? We've got a couple of... Name and address for the record?
Good evening, Mike Hughes, 14 Philadelphia. 3 questions, comments per se. Community News a couple of weeks ago had an article, Saddlebrook just invoked the new ordinance, no-knock ordinance, that these roaming telemarketers can't be knocking on your door. I had just the other day 4 groups of guys from Verizon in a matter of 15 minutes knocking on my door. They all come during dinner time. I thought you had to have a permit, as it was in town, to solicit. I think we should look at something like this, try and get something, they have it where residents could register for a no-knock list. Anybody coming into town has to report to the municipal building, the police department, whatever, have the proper documentation. We had a number of occasions where somebody's knocked on the door, it was a scam, some of the elderly people were robbed. A lot of them still open the doors, they don't realize what's going on. This opens up a whole can of worms for a lot more stuff going on. This is something I think maybe somebody could check with Saddlebrook, see what the inner workings are of this ordinance. Maybe this is something we should do here too to protect the citizens of this town also.
Through you, Council President, I could call Mr. Ladico and get a copy of that ordinance tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kasmark, if I may ask this, I believe the no-knock policy that you're talking about, Mr. Bufus, I'm sorry, but through Keith also, I want to ask him. The no-knock, I don't believe pertains to Verizon, Cablevision, or any services that are providing our town. What I believe the no-knock is for, yeah.
Well, I think it did, because I think it only exempt religious organizations and volunteer organizations.
We may have to check our contract.
Well,
that we
I
have.
printed this.
No, I'm asking our
If you want to
clerk.
just scan it to see what it was.
I think we're going to get a copy of their ordinance, right? So,
Yeah, I'll list it for a workshop.
so we'll figure out.
Check our
How about politicians?
With this ordinance, the salesperson will also receive a list of addresses not to approach. Religious groups, nonprofit groups, politicians, charitable organizations, police and fire members are exempt. So that would include Verizon, AT&T would be exempt, would not be allowed to do that.
Okay,
I'll let you hold this if you didn't see it in the papers. You could have this for
no problem. Thank you.
file copy.
Thank you.
Second, parking. I'm under the assumption, I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong if anybody knows, but I thought our ordinance was for a two-family house, the owner had to supply off-street parking with 2 vehicles per unit. Get to the intersection of my block, Phillip and Elm, you have cars parked within 3 inches of a crosswalk. State law is 15 feet from a crosswalk, 25 from a stop sign. The yellow lines on those curves are faded. I would not have had a crosswalk at that corner if public service hadn't repaved everything after doing gas lines. I'm living in my house 28 years. Those curves have not been painted in the 28 years I'm here. The last time I saw curbs painted on a regular basis, I'm going to date myself now, Freddie Molino was still here, and he used to take high school students out during the summer to do it. Maybe we could do that again. High school students will need a minimum, I think, of 10 hours community service before they graduate. The easy way for students to get 10 hours, get them out there in the summer, painting the curbs again. Maybe then, if the curb is yellow, somebody won't park there. Or, if a police officer passes by, he might get out of the car and put a ticket on it. There have been times I got to that curb, and either myself or my dog almost got hit by a car. Somebody speeding around the corner that I couldn't see. Call the police department. 12 and a half hours later, when I go to work the next morning, that same car is still there without a ticket. 12 and a half hours, a cop hasn't passed that corner to put a ticket on that car. That's revenue the town loses too, fellas and ladies. I mean, this is something else we need to address. That's a safety issue for anybody in this town, and it's not just my intersection. You drive around town, you see it on almost any intersection, and most of the cars, I hate to say it, have out-of-state plates.
If I may,
There goes,
if I
right
may,
back on the store's old thing of resident parking permits.
if I may, if the council agrees, maybe what we could do next summer, Mr. Administrator, is to hire a part-time extra worker that can just be delegated to these corners, like painting these
You
curbs.
don't have to pay them, use the students for their community service. A lot
Well-
of them don't know how to get
Well,
community service
well,
out.
the
This is
problem,
perfect for them.
the problem with that is the coordination of it. It's not at hand. If we have a man that's going out and doing it, we can count on it getting done. Don't get me wrong, if we can get them to do it, fine. But as a backup, I'd like to possibly propose to the council that we take a look at it.
I don't think we'll figure out here, but we should discuss it.
Yeah, yeah.
We have probably less than 5 minutes. We have 5 more minutes on the tape. Do you
That's
have-
fine.
well,
Ain't going nowhere. I'm not on the clock.
Can you finish
Technically,
in
it's a
5 minutes?
10-minute
That's the
clock.
question. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, go
Of course,
ahead.
Rick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Your next
Oh,
question.
well, Lastly, August 21st, this pertains to everybody except Mr. Catamani, you weren't here at the time. August 21st, I sent out a letter by email to all the council members and the mayor regarding the dead trees in the vacant lot of Miller Ave behind my house. The only response I got was the very next day, Mr. Dombrowski sent out an email, I hope this gets passed around to everybody. 2 months later, I haven't received anything from anybody, not even, we'll take it under advisement. Now, I got these trees with dead branches hanging over my property into my backyard. I don't want the same damage happening to my property that happened on Elm Street, at number 50 Elm Street, around the corner from me, when that big tree crushed that garage. Not only that, I don't want a tree to fall on my wife, my son, or my dog. I mean, this has been going on for many years. I've been coming to the council more years than I care to remember about those trees, and nobody's doing anything. Don't have to take them down completely. Cut it down to 6 feet if you want to leave this tree trunks there to hold the earth back. But these are dangerous trees. The slightest breeze and all you hear is crackling. I don't need this to fall. I mean, it's already been put in a letter. It's now on film. Something happens, the word lawsuit could come out real easy because everybody knows about it, now becomes neglect on the council for not doing anything about it. So I really wish somebody would get back there and prune these trees down before something serious happens.
Whose property is
Mr.
that?
Caswell, could we have
Town? Do you own
Town's
that?
property.
Mr. Parks look at it?
Mr. Bufus, just for, I did email you back, I have it right here. I emailed you back on August 22nd at 9:20 a.m.
That one never came through, I'm sorry. but-
That's okay, I just want to
Yeah, no,
clear it up
yeah.
because people say stuff,
Right.
so I got the
That one
proof.
never came through. The only one that did come through was from Mr. Dombrowski.
Yeah, it was So it says to Cheryl, your wife, so I don't know if it's labeled that way. Okay, no problem, just want to clear that up.
Through you, Council President, I know that Mr. Kartz was out there after that email did come through. I think what we should probably do from here, Mr. Bufus, is for Scott and I to come out and maybe meet with you on site. I know he did some inspections of some of the trees. He's not an arborist, but he's obviously been in this line of work for many years.
I think it was about 8 years ago, one guy did come and cut 2 branches off one tree.
Right, so if we could identify some of the areas that you're concerned about, because I don't know that they stuck out to Scott, I think that would be the best way to
If he
go.
comes any day, I'm not there, tell him it's the first 5 trees within 8 feet of my property line.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we could,
Well, I think we probably want to meet with you and see specifically what your concern is.
Anytime after
I'll
5.
be back in touch with you and we'll set up a time, okay?
Do you guys want the quick copy I got of that no-knock ordinance there that was printed in the community news?
I give it to Keith.
Give it to Keith.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a moment.
Is that it, Mr.
Rich?
Bufus?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
We're going
you.
to take a moment to change the tape, and then we'll be back. Okay, so we're going to resume the public portion of the meeting. Anybody else from the public?
Good evening, Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. On page 14 of the agenda that was towards the front here, I do have a question. On the very last item on that page, Stan Soccer LLC, the coaches are paid by the rec trust fund?
What page?
It says 1120 coaches for rec games, recreation trust fund.
We pay, through you, Council President, we pay trainers to come out to assist in coaching the kids. So these are professionally trained soccer coaches, they're not parents, that come out and supplement the coaching that the parents provide.
Are any other sports, are they compensated?
No, I think, I'm speaking from, without full knowledge of it, but I think soccer is one of the few sports that actually are treated that way.
I mean, any particular reason?
Well, it's a rec program, first of all.
Pardon me?
It's part of the rec program. It's the wrecking crew, and it happens to be coming out of the rec budget.
What had happened was there was a scarcity of coaches, so we had to go to fill the void and implement this plan. So,
If there weren't, like, say for instance, I believe some of the other sports programs are, they get some money from the council, I believe so, anyway, or from the rec trust fund or wherever, I'm not quite sure. But if somebody no longer wants to coach, then they'll hire coaches?
No,
Say
what-
coach baseball, football?
Jeff, what happened was this was an extraordinary year. We usually have enough coaches to go around, but for some reason it was just odd, and we had to make a move quick in order to make sure that the program didn't suffer.
Okay, so this has never been done in the past?
Well, I don't know if it's never been done, but I do know that this is abnormal at this moment. It's not our normal way of functioning.
These are fingerprinted individuals and everything?
Oh,
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
everybody who
Absolutely.
steps foot on the field has a credential.
every coach, no matter what program you belong to, you have to have fingerprints.
But what I'm saying is they're like a private contractor, correct?
Yeah.
And they would get a 1099, I guess, or whatever?
Well, yeah, because they're paid by voucher.
Okay, now, how restricted is the recreation trust fund in regard to use? I would assume it's similar to the school, an enterprise fund where it has to, it's kept separate from money provided by the town.
It is one of our few accounts that rolls over from a year-to-year basis, whereas the municipal budget expires at the end of the calendar year.
And it's unrestricted in its use, it can acquire a surplus.
It does accumulate, so I guess you could define it as a surplus.
And there is no
But it's
limitation?
exclusively used for recreational purposes.
Okay.
So we're not going to take money from there to buy a police car, for instance.
There is no cap on how much can be rolled over from year to year?
No.
Okay, so it continues to build.
Right, but keep in mind, it also keeps us from incurring some major capital costs. For example,
The bus.
when they did the work in the gym, when they repainted the entire building down there, I mean, they've made some significant improvements to the building itself. Most of that money came from the rec trust fund.
Now, in the soccer program, the parent, the children, the players, I would assume they pay to join, and
There's a
that-
registration fee,
there's a fee. Does that fee go into the rec trust fund?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the public?
Tom, we only have 10 minutes.
Mr. Bufus goes for almost 17.
Only joking, Tom.
Cowboy, 135, 12
We're switching to Tom Convoy time now. Tom Convoy time. so.
I'm hitting start.
Whatever it takes.
2-hour tape.
Whatever makes you feel good. First, I just want to comment on a couple things here. The rec trust, you mentioned how now you have a dilemma. I think the real question you got to ask yourself, and I certainly didn't plan to ask these questions, but Mr. Freitag brought them up. Many of you know I've been running sports programs for a long time, and usually finding coaches isn't a problem. So you're telling me we're now paying outside source people to facilitate and be coaches because we don't have enough. I think we need to look inside and find out how come we don't have coaches. What are we doing wrong to not get cultivating new coaches inside our own programs? In the past, the Wrecking Crew did bring in trainers, but the Wrecking Crew fundraised to make that money. And those were trainers to help get the kids better, and give the kids some training sessions. That was for all, not by individual team, because we've never had a coaching problem. Maybe it's related to the lawsuit that's going on, I don't know. But still, you should never have a problem getting enough volunteers. And if you do, you gotta look at your program and say what's going on. So, anyway. And you then get all the parents together and say, hey, if we can't get enough volunteers, we're gonna maybe have to squander some of these teams, or we're gonna have to, make the teams bigger and not have more playing time for your children, and people don't step up. So we gotta get our parents involved. We shouldn't have to be paying anybody from the outside. Regarding the rec trust account, Keith, Mr. Clerk, I want to ask how much we have in it, but I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you know though. But the rec trust is mostly used for the recreation department, as they said to you, to help the recreation department improvements, matching grants to improve the parks, but it can be used by the governing body. When I was on council twice, they took out $250,000 2 years in a row to bring down taxes. So it could also be used back to the people.
However, if I
could classified.
Through you, Council President, if I could just clarify that though, there was a deliberate decision to move that money out of the rec trust fund and into that year's municipal budget.
Well, to help bring down taxes.
Oh, absolutely, but it's not, we don't bill for things other than rec to the trust fund specifically. Money can be transferred out, but it's not billed against that account.
As you heard me say, it gets used for parks.
I just want to clarify, that's all.
I did say it gets used for parks, it gets used for improvements to the recreation and offset any losses if there is any, but the governing body can opt to take money out to give back to the taxpayers, and for 2 years in a row, $500,000 in total was given back to help bring down taxes. I think I said that. So,
Yes.
The other thing I want to mention is two other things real fast. You mentioned about paving over at the recreation area on the senior side, senior small parking lot. In the past, when I served as liaison on council and working very well with with Mr. Kazmark, we had a great relationship with the governing body. We had a good working relationship with the county, since that is a shared area, possibly before it's a smaller lot, but maybe we can get the county to come maybe do it once for us, or share some costs, so before we have to, so we don't have to take it away from another street we might do, then we get the county involved. Mr. Hogan, I understand, is great to work with, so hopefully maybe they could pitch in a little bit and help a little. I'm sure they're very welcome to do that. I also want to say, I think we should, if we're going to have a no-knock, definitely include council politicians, that'd be great. And if I were running, I don't worry about knocking on doorbells. I don't want this buff body to get out of shape. So, the other thing is, I remember this time last year, we talked about lawn signs. And I could have swore, and I'll have to go back to the videotape, but I thought we were going to try to do away with lawn signs. I thought the parties had agreed, or at least one did. I'm not here to
Mr.
point fingers at them.
Mr. Conway, we discussed it last week. We're going to discuss it after election.
Yeah, because you know what? Thank you, Council President. Because what I understand is that some of these signs go out, some of the residents feel pressure to take them, some leave a little note behind, call us, we'll come back and get it. But then they say, oh, but then I gotta listen to why I won't take it.
But the thing that really bothers me the most is when they get placed on a house that has the grass almost as high up to here, because the house is an abandoned house. There's even a cardboard piece of plywood that says number 2 on it. And the sign is almost, you can't even see the sign anyway. I don't know who would put it there. Because you can barely see it above the grass. And it's bad enough, I hear everybody talk all the time. I'm really not talking politically here. I know it sounds that way, but we talk passionately about when you come off our exits, off of Route 80 or 46, or you come into town, there's garbage along the sides. So imagine, folks, we're driving in off of Route 46, and the first thing you hit is this house that's, unfortunately, for whatever reason, is abandoned, or no one's living in it, and the town's caring for it, so the town's cutting the grass. Although I think I heard recently there may be something under a contract or something, maybe someone's taking it over. But the sign's placed there. I mean, come on. How silly was that? It's an abandoned house. I think we got a big black number 2 painted on a piece of plywood, and we're putting a campaign sign out in front of it.
What color was it?
Yeah, you shouldn't say
You asked. It was yellow. It was yellow. You asked. I didn't say. But you want to wipe your shoe off on that when you kind of stepped down.
You certainly did. Did you catch Frank?
If you didn't ask, I was.
Did you catch Frank and I simultaneously said, what color is it?
They
You
got the
didn't
yellow.
say you were talking to that.
They got the
So,
yellow.
but it was yellow. So,
Now we can stay.
all right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I didn't use all my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Name and address?
Councilman and Keith, we have big issues going on in town, very bad. I want to say it's very bad. We need to get new signs up. It says Route 80, do not go down Local Street. You got cars going down Local Street like crazy, and they don't see sign where they go, and they just go right down the one-way street. You like that?
So you're saying you're going the wrong way down Local
Yes,
Street?
they're going down the one way down. A lot. I mean, a lot. I mean, I see every day, a car go down. And I'm afraid the cars come up, they might hit them.
Keith will
Through you,
review
Council President,
this
we'll have the chief take a look at that and make a determination whether there's any signage that's necessary.
Now, second thing, I got another issue, very bad issue. I want to tell you, I think this town is going to be like Patterson soon. It's very bad. This is very, very serious bomb. And I don't like it at all. And why they have to do it in my yard all the time? I mean, peeing in my yard. Do you like to see public people peeing in your yard? That's what they do in my yard.
People?
Yep. That's what I'm saying, it's like Patterson. This town is getting worse.
Have you contacted anybody?
No, because I didn't know who to talk to. And that's the issue, I don't know who I should talk to.
Well, that is something that is against the law and that the police department would enforce. So if you view it, you should contact the police department
But
so that they
they go
can
out
respond.
at nighttime, they park the cars, and they go to the bar, and then when they come back, that's when they pee.
But you
in the yard.
should contact the police department, though. Right. When you-
And they're right here,
If you
so they
see it, they're right here, so they should be here quickly.
Take a picture.
Mr. Arabia, also, if you could take the license plate number down of the car.
I
gi-
will do that.
You give it to the police department,
Yeah.
and then you would have to sign a complaint. You would have to sign a complaint and then come to court and say that that is the person that urinated in my yard.
It's not the driver, it was a passenger. That-
Either or. I mean, but you would have to do that.
Two men did it, to walk in my yard. So my guys, they park, see, my land is here, and then there's a parking space over here.
You should contact our police department
Can we
immediately.
get it that high?
I know you were having problems with, I believe it was a kangaroo.
No, that's nothing, no. Please, there's nothing where I'm talking about now. It's serious things. I'm telling you the truth. This is really the truth that's going on in the town. And I don't like to see cars go down the one-way street.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see people peeing in my yard.
We agree.
And they park, they pee right on Local Street. Why on Locust Street, why in a public place?
We're going to review the signage on Locust Street for the one-way, and if the other,
So what I'm
if,
trying to
if,
explain to you, you need to put a blue sign on Market Street. This is people who turn up, because they turn up
we'll
Mulberry Street to
I
go
think he's saying
to
that they
Locust
miss
Street.
Route 80,
For the 80, that's
that
how
they're
I'm
missing the
trying to take it.
entrance onto 80, that
Because
there's
80
no
is right
signage
there
there.
on Locust Street. They went to go on 80 east. And that's why everybody goes down, because they go right down, because they think it's a shortcut, they can go right there.
we're going to have the police review the signage there. And for your other item, when it occurs, you should call the police department immediately.
All right, I will definitely do that, because I was too afraid if they charge me for it.
You should, it's against the law, you should call the police department if you see it on your property. They shouldn't be on your property doing that.
Because I watch it every night I'm outside watching things going on. And then at night, there was a guy drunk.
Thank
He
you.
couldn't even walk the street. That's how bad it was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Hello, good evening. My name is Donna Berger, 83 Hamilton Avenue. I have a question for the council. I wanted to know, is Elmwood Park one of the town on the proud to be stigma-free for Bergen County?
Yes, we passed an ordinance and created our, we are stigma-free.
Okay, thank you.
The plans? What happened to the drawings?
Rich Joinski, 42 Walnut Street. I'd like to just mention a few brief items, bring up to speed. It was good to see the council back at the library, and we seem to be making some progress. On another note, though, we have the prints now that we do have. It would be good, maybe we should make them available in the building department for anybody in the public who wants to see what's going on at the library as far as that addition blueprint and that. It's only about 73 pages, but you don't have to look at it all. On another note, as far as Mike Buffett said about the parking on the two-family homes. In 1978, there was an ordinance passed expanding the coverage for a two-family from 25% to 30%. And the purpose of that ordinance, which was introduced by Lou Mega at the time, was to provide 4 off-street spots for your cars. Unfortunately, the ordinance is on deaf ears because there's nobody to enforce or any type of paperwork in progress to grant the 2 spots to the tenant. So what happens if it's owner occupied, they never let them park in the garage or the driveway, which I brought to the attention of the previous mayor and council. There should be a system in place when they go for that CO that the tenant signs an affidavit that he's aware that he gets 2 off-street spots, which would eliminate part of your problems. It has to really be looked into detail with your attorney, but 1978, there were a lot of two-families under that ordinance, and you can see the difference in size. It's not hard to tell, because it went from like 1,250 square feet on a 50 by 100 to 1,500 square feet. And another note too, as far as the garbage, Mike, somebody was talking about, I'd like to commend one of your DPW workers, Rob Krejci. I'm out in the town a lot, and I do walk the town a lot, and I see him all over the place picking up garbage. And the other night, I just walked down Market Street, and he was down there taking care of the trees that day, and we need 1 or 2 more guys out there like this, under the bridges, and he's doing a hell of a job.
Thank you. Very good. Anybody else wishing to comment? If not, then I'll close the public portion.
So moved.
So moved. No, second.
And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Councilman Coletti, Councilman Bobrowski. All in favor?
Aye.